Hello, everyone, and welcome to Make Your Own Victory, the GDQ Hotfix show that attempts to capture 100% of the joy of speedrunning in 0% of the completed video games. My name is Quacksilver, and in case you are just joining us here on Monday nights on GDQ Hotfix in April, we have a little mini community month going on here on Hotfix. Last time on Make Your Own Victory, we showed off a number of speedruns and showcases that have been submitted to Summer Games Done Quick 2026, which is fast approaching. And to continue that trend, in our little impromptu community month, we're going to look at something very near and dear to my heart on the show tonight, and that is routing speedruns. Tonight, on Make Your Own Victory, we have picked a game that is hot off the presses. Grime II released officially on March 31st, 2026, a Metroidvania / Souls-like with about 4 billion weapons, 30 different bosses, a very dense story of body horror and intrigue, and mostly brutal world-altering violence. It's a good video game. We're going to talk about it, but we're mostly going to talk about the process by which, over the last 2 weeks, speedrunners have dove into every possible route of the video game, torn it apart, and mined it towards a beautiful speedrun. So, without further ado, I am delighted to introduce running Grime II's Satiate% speedrun, and also doing Summoning Salt live and talking about the routing and record history of Grime II. Please welcome to the stage, Cthulhu.
Thank you, Quack, and hello, everyone. Yes, I am Cthulhu, and I will be doing my best Summoning Salt impersonation today. Luckily, we only have about 2 weeks of history to talk about, so it's a little bit easier of a job. There are very long intro cutscenes, so let's go ahead and get those started while we introduce the game a little bit to you. So time will start when I select the difficulty here in 3, 2, 1... go. But yes, welcome everyone. Grime II is a brand new Metroidvania. As Quack said, it released just 2 weeks ago on March 31st, and it is the sequel to Grime, a game that both Quack and I have put a fair amount of time into doing speedruns of in the past. Grime is easily one of my favorite speed games with a fantastic speedrunning community. So when Grime II came out, pretty much all of us came out of the woodwork to jump right back into the speedrun scene, and we're having an excellent time trying to figure out how to beat this game as quickly as possible. Grime II is much bigger than Grime I, and we are working hard to make the run not quite as long as it is at the moment. But in addition to being much larger, it's also a fair bit more difficult. So we've got our work cut out for us for sure. This intro sequence is pretty long, so we will be just mashing through any dialogue that appears. One thing about Grime II is there will be quite a bit of dialogue. We haven't quite gotten to the level of optimization that we figured out every single dialogue option to choose in this game, but we are getting there. There are some that I know, at least. In particular, when it says skip this entire conversation, I do tend to hit that button. But yeah, Quack and myself and several of us over in the Grime II Discord have been working hard at tearing this game apart. We've already found quite a few different skips and tricks, although what you'll be seeing today is a fairly straightforward version of the first half-ish of the game. We'll be going in slightly different than maybe intended order, but more or less directionally the same. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started here. The main movement that we're going to be doing is what you all see here. It's this dash jump movement. The game does actually teach it to you. It's the primary movement for casual players in addition to speedrunners, but it is very fluid and very fast, and it is so fun to do. The other thing to note in this early section is we have this little air kick. And that might seem relatively innocuous, but that little air kick is going to get a whole lot done for us, especially if we showcase some of the glitches that we've been finding later on in this
Spoilers.
Yeah, getting slightly ahead of things here. But yeah, Grime 2 is a very complicated game from a routing perspective. There are tons of different weapons, tons of different damage sources. There's at least 3 different damage systems to play with. There are tons of boss fights. Different weapons have different advantages in certain boss fights. There are consumable items. There are armor sets and stats to worry about. It is fairly complex, so we will be picking this one apart for a while, but it's been very good in these first couple of weeks to come up with an initial build that works well and is quick. And what that ends up being for us here is going to be making heavy use of the game's parry system. So you'll see there, every time I parried the boss there, the health went down a pretty sizable chunk. We will be using that damage as our main damage source because it doesn't take much investment to get going, and you'll be seeing the power of it a little bit later in the run.
So yeah, starting the story of routing this video game, would you like to tell the good people of the internet what your casual experience playing this game was like?
Sure, Quack. So, I speedrun a lot of video games, and like any good speedrunner or rando player, I like to break games if I can, and I have a deep love of Grime and the Grime universe, so of course I wanted to jump into a casual playthrough, but I also made sure to hunt as many skips and tricks as I could find in my first playthrough. What this ended up doing in my case was a little bit undesirable from really any perspective, because I managed to hard lock my save file by skipping just a couple too many things. And we can talk a little bit more about that as we get deeper into the game. But yes, I found a number of skips that got me places I was not supposed to be, and the story ended up being in a state that I could not quite progress. So one of the early routing lessons, I suppose, we learned in this game is we do have to be careful to actually do some of the things the game expects us to do. Otherwise, we could end up with a file that can't quite be completed.
And for anyone looking to destroy your own speed games, it's not required that you brick your casual save file, but it does make for good theater.
It does, in fact. I had a great time bricking my casual save file. One of my first experiences with this game was streaming on the very first day and then using a glitch that carried over from the first game to get an item I wasn't supposed to get pretty early in the second game. And the dev watching the stream pleaded with me not to break their game. Unfortunately, I didn't quite listen well enough, and we ended up where we were, but it's okay. It's been resolved. The devs are absolutely incredible in Grime 2, and it's the same developers as the first game, and they are wonderful folk. Oh no, I was going for a little skip there, but I missed it. That's okay. They are very supportive of the speedrunning community. Of course, to the extent that it still makes for a good casual experience, and they are hard at work patching any bugs that have popped up since the release just a couple of weeks ago. Oh no. Okay. One thing to learn quickly with this game is absolutely anything and everything can and will kill you. So I will probably be dying a number of times here. With a game that's as old as this, we haven't quite developed the skills to completely roll everything in the game, but we're working on it. So hopefully we'll get there soon.
Yeah, and Grime 2, obviously, in case you can't tell from everything about this, has that very Souls-like sensibility. So if you've never seen very early Souls-likes or played them yourself, I do recommend it.
Yeah, it is a very Souls-like experience. People throw that word around a lot for Metroidvanias in particular, but for all sorts of games. But this game really does have that Souls experience. It's a very boss-focused game, although there is quite a bit of platforming in this second game compared to the first. And we have the whole armor and weapon system, stat system, levels, all the things that you might come to expect in a Souls-style game. One thing we don't have, which I am grateful for, is a death runback system that is particularly punishing. So when we die, we don't really lose anything of value. In fact, deaths can be a beneficial thing. Once we get a particular ability, it will actually make the boss fights easier on the second attempt than they were on the first. And yeah, one thing about this game is it's very hard, very punishing, but the overarching design choice seems to have been to not make things frustrating for the player as much as they can. Obviously, with any hard game, that can be a little bit inevitable, but the boss runbacks are all very fast. There's always a save point next to one. They are pretty forgiving on certain platforming sections and things, so it's relatively kind as far as a Souls-like game can go. Also, yeah, this is the first real boss. That first boss we fought was more of a tutorial boss. I have to just say, this game has absolutely incredible art all throughout. I absolutely love it, and it is just incredible to watch the boss designs, and all of the backgrounds, especially in this game, are just completely gorgeous. The art is insane. But all right, so this whole area is effectively the tutorial area. We pick up our first major ability from that first sort of tutorial boss. What we got there was more of a combat upgrade than anything else, and that is kind of a trend that will play out with Grime bosses in general. The big bosses will give you combat upgrades, but they will also often guard movement abilities, but in the Metroidvania sense, with all the movement abilities, they're usually not from bosses. They are usually some kind of area exploration will get them, and then the bosses are just gaining the combat abilities, which is, I think, an interesting design decision, and one that will be a little bit important for us in the speedrun, because we can go and grab sort of all of the movement that we need without necessarily fighting too many bosses along the way. Now, of course, we are... oh no. We are going to be doing quite a number of bosses, because the category that we're running today is one that requires nearly every story boss in the first sort of half of the game. Okay. These enemies are my absolute bane, by the way, these spiky guys. You can't quite dash through them cleanly. It's very, very hard. But I want this item, which is an embedding nail, and I'll describe more of what that means later. But yeah, you can see some of the systems at work here. We have a stats system, we have different weapons that we're picking up, and I'll be talking about some of the ones that we decided to use for the speedrun in a little bit. The one I'm using right now is the default weapon, the Maul Axe, and it is quite good. They made the default weapon pretty decent, I think, to give an idea of how strong weapons can be, as opposed to some of the other ways of dealing damage. But because they made it quite good, it actually works just fine for a lot of this early part of the game. But I will be switching weapons in probably about 20 minutes into the run or so. Here we have our first sort of mini boss, and this is actually an enemy that sort of becomes a regular enemy later, which of course is a little bit rude and also maybe not unsurprising for these types of games. You get something that presents as a mini boss early that just turns into a regular enemy late. Pretty common in Souls games, but they give us our first hunt pigment, and that is another kind of upgrade system that we'll be using quite a bit. Shoot, just missed that skip. So there's a little skip there that gets us up to an experience pickup, or sorry, a money pickup that I want. But going around is fine. The other system I kind of want to talk about here is this mold system. So when we fight enemies, they get down to roughly half health. It kind of depends on the enemy, but at roughly half health, we can actually dash into them and acquire what's called a creature mold. And that lets us either summon or temporarily transform into the enemy in question. And it's yet another damage system that we have to contend with when we're thinking about doing the speedruns of this game. So at the moment, the run is not using too many molds, but I am going to pick up a number of items that we'll be using for damage. Okay, that was close. Sometimes the spiky boy there can knock you down. Oh, okay, good to know. Thank you. But yeah, okay. In the background there, oh, I thought the weapon special would continue hitting that, but I guess I was a little too far back. In the background there, I just picked up an item, which is a blood metal chunk. This is kind of a fun thing that they did in this game. They put the background material, or sorry, the upgrade materials in the background like that. Which gives you an excuse to look at the absolutely gorgeous backgrounds that they've drawn in this game, and I cannot stress enough how beautiful some parts of this game are. This game definitely falls into that Grime aesthetic, which is a little bit on the creepy side, a little bit on the disturbing side, but also absolutely beautiful, and I really appreciate what they've done with the backgrounds here. But yeah, a lot of the upgrade materials are sort of hidden in the background, which makes for interesting finding. When we looked at routing this category, of course, one of the biggest questions is where do we get damage for all of these boss fights we have to do? And one clear source of damage is to get those upgrade materials, which allows us to upgrade our weapons to deal more damage. Thankfully, the lovely Demagen did already have a map for Grime II available. Demagen, if you aren't familiar with them, is a very prolific mapper of Metroidvanias, and the Grime II map was available on release because Demagen was actually one of the beta players for this game. So that has been absolutely invaluable. I think pretty much everyone involved in the routing has picked up a copy of the Demagen map, and thankfully that helped so much for finding all of these various materials that are hidden in the background all throughout the game. All right, this early part of the game, we are introduced to this character here, Manzil, and what ends up becoming the main story of the game. We will actually be doing a fair bit of that story in this run. So this run does not complete the story, of course. This is Make Your Own Victory, but we will be doing a decent amount of the story. And we will be introduced to it with quite a lot of dialogue. So this is one of the things that definitely has come to mark the early part of this run, is just how often we get stuck in these very long conversations. So anytime we can skip a conversation, we are doing everything we can to do it. Sometimes that means different pathing through the game. Sometimes the devs are kind to us. So for example, coming into this conversation here, they included a dialogue option to skip the conversation. So we still have to click through a number of text boxes, but here we can just fade to black and skip the rest of the conversation. And that does actually save a huge amount of time with all of the conversations that we have. But there are other cases where we can actually just kind of hop over dialogue triggers, and we're in the process of looking for as many of those as we can find, because it is a very not insignificant portion of the run. And the more runs spent fighting some fun bosses, the better.
As we've gotten to the main story thrust of the run here, do you want to talk about what satiate itself is as a category?
Yes. So satiate percent is a category that ends roughly between half and 2/3 of the way through the game. The game presents a dialogue option to you, which asks, do you want more, or are you satiated? And we choose satiated. Oh shoot, I want to upgrade my weapon. 1 second. We choose satiated, and the game is a little bit, I would say, rude about it. It berates us and then kicks us to menu. So that is where this run will end. If you do not choose that option, you can continue with the story, but you do have to ask for more. The devs give you an out halfway through the game. Which to me is very, very funny.
It's sort of analogous to a bad ending in Grime 1, kind of. But, and this is critical, there's no credits screen on that.
Yes, it is extremely important for the appearance of the show here. Oh, wait, I don't need the hardened half main. I'm thinking about the glitched run already, Quack. It's a problem. That creature I was fighting there. I was trying to gain access to the creature mold, which I talked a little bit about earlier, but that one turns out to have some glitched potential, so we might be seeing that a little bit later. But
and when was the glitched potential of the hardened half made discovered, Matt?
That was discovered less than 24 hours ago, Quack. Thank you for asking. Oh,
I love not new speed games so much.
It's absolutely insane the pace at which tech is being discovered and reroutes are being made. When we say this tech was discovered less than 24 hours ago, it caused basically an entire reroute. There will likely be a category split for this, which allows the glitch in question. It allows us to get through walls, to get out of bounds, all sorts of crazy things. So some category that allows that and some that does not, but we will be showing what that looks like a little bit later. But yes,
this game is fresh. It's as fresh as it can be. That's why we bring it on Community Month.
Yeah, this game is absolutely brand new. Hey, let's go. There's a little bit of tech that was also discovered just a little bit ago. Probably 2 days ago, so ancient knowledge at this point. But you can pull on objects and use the little air kick at the same time. And it actually gives you significantly more height, and also more horizontal speed. So that can be used for a number of skips, which is always a fun time. But yeah, we're at the stage of glitch hunting without even necessarily any specific purpose to the glitch hunting. We just want to find as much as we can. Hi, I would like to not be on that ledge. Thank you. Find as much as we can and then figure out if it has a use after the fact, because everything is very much in flux right now. Oh, one thing I haven't talked about is these area maps. You might be wondering why a speedrun is bothering getting maps, and that is a very fair question. The reason that we're doing it is that when we unlock the second of those seals in an area, it actually unlocks area warp. So we can warp back to this area in the future to any of these surrogates, these save points that are throughout the game. So there are a couple of areas where we need to come back, and those are the areas where I will be grabbing the map, basically just as a precursor to the warp. It's actually a very fun system, I think, for casual exploration, because it basically makes 2 map locations when there would normally only be one.
Yeah, and one of the first routing decisions in the speedrun was like, what are the areas that we actually feel the need to come back to, that we're going to need warp for, because so much of the routing contorts around that fact.
Yeah, and it can be quite a detour to try to unlock the warp in certain areas. So this area, although actually for satiate percent, I guess I don't need this, but that's fine. This area we do need to come back to in any percent. So we unlock the warp, but luckily it's a pretty small detour. Like coming down here for this one is only probably a 10-second detour off of the main route that we would take through this area. Other areas are not so lucky, and they have significantly longer detours. All right, so I've also been picking up a couple of weapons there. That one is the Faceless Spear, and I'll just show you what that does real quick so that you understand why I'm picking it up, because it isn't for combat. So if we interrupt the special of that weapon... Don't kill me. Don't kill me. No, I died. Okay, it's fine. If we interrupt the special of that weapon, we get just a huge speed boost.
It's for demonstration purposes.
Exactly. I just want to show you this again, of course. So that can be used for a couple of skips. For the most part, it's not necessary, but it can speed up some things later in this game. And there are so many weapons in this game. I need you to understand that we have not gotten close to testing all of the capabilities of all of the different weapons. So this will be very much a work in progress, and I am excited for all of the discoveries that are bound to be made as more and more people play the game and have time to actually dig into the specifics.
I mean, even Faceless Spear Tech is what, like 72 hours old, 48 hours old?
Yeah, it's maybe 3 days ago. It's quite new, yeah. And then the other weapon that I picked up is one we're actually going to be using for combat for pretty much the entire run, and that is this attunement bow. So the attunement bow is actually kind of an awful weapon in terms of how weapons work. It does a very small amount of damage. Oh, did I equip embedding nails? I think I didn't. That's okay. It does a very small amount of damage. It doesn't have a very quick attack speed. You might think it's not particularly useful, especially for a speedrun. But it does one third thing, which is basically the entire point of the weapon. And it applies a debuff to the enemy called attunement, which gives the bow its name. Yeah, I didn't equip. Yeah, I don't think I can do the phase skip, actually, so I'll just fight Darsh normally then. If we die, I'll equip embedding nails. Okay, anyway. So you'll see this little green circle on the right-hand side of the boss health bar, just above the right-hand side there. And it's slowly filling up. You'll also see a second circle that's kind of counting down. I'm dashing because I'm on phase skip autopilot here. We have a skip for this boss to skip the second phase of the fight.
It saves, what, like a couple seconds?
It's not that much faster because it takes so long to set up, basically, but it is very entertaining, and it can actually result in a completely invisible second copy of the boss fighting you after the fight is over. So I would say it's a good thing overall. It's actually been so long since I've tried the second phase of the fight that we'll see how this goes. Oh, that's how that goes. So welcome to Grime 2. In Grime 2, I would like you all to know that you get killed in 2 hits almost the entire time.
Pretty much the whole run through, right?
Yeah, I think I'm going to get a couple of health levels, but it is pretty much the entire run. So we are just going to die if we get hit twice for this entire run, which means lots and lots of deaths. But like I said at the beginning of the stream, the game is kind to us. So the run back from that very painful death, of course. Wait, I can do the phase skip now. Shoot, slightly too early. Okay, that's okay. But yeah, the run back is not too bad, even if the death is awful. So the game is at least kind to us on that front. But yeah, okay, so yeah, what I'm trying to do is build up that attunement bar over on the right-hand side of the health bar. It's that little green symbol. It's slowly filling. You can see it's about half full now. There's a secondary bar that runs along the outside of that. If that bar depletes, so that's basically a countdown until we... until the entire stack of debuffs goes away. So we need to make sure to apply another hit of the debuff before that runs out. I forgot to use an embedding nail. That's okay. But yeah, we basically need to hit Darsh again. Okay, perfect. In order to keep that debuff up. But what that debuff does is it increases parry damage, and it increases it immensely. It can increase it up to 6 times the damage, I believe, on parries. So effectively, the way these bosses will go for this entire run is the first half of the fight is going to be a slow burn. We're going to be applying these attunement stacks with the bow, just shooting slowly, and then all of a sudden we'll have so much parry damage that we kill the boss from about half health in about 2 to 3 hits. So that is effectively the entire damage build for the run. Attunement is extremely powerful, so even though the bow is awful, building up those stacks is extremely useful, and we will continue using that strategy for every single fight for basically the rest of the run.
And you mentioned embedding nails a couple times, but how do they play into this build?
Yes, so one thing that we've also discovered is an item called the embedding nail, one of which is available very early, which I grabbed in the very first area, and a couple more available later in the game. So we'll actually be picking a couple of them up. The way that items work in this game, by the way, is when you get them, they are not consumable, but each one you pick up increases your total capacity for that item. So if I pick up 1 embedding nail, I have 1. If I pick up 2, I have 2 every time I bench. So every time I sit at a save point, I get 2 back. And if I pick up a 3rd, I'll have 3 every time I sit at a save point. It's a very unique system, and I like it a lot, actually. But the embedding nail is particularly powerful because it allows us to basically create an on-demand parry. So there are a number of ways to parry in this game. The game is very, very built around parries and counters of various kinds. One is something called the grasp counter, which it's a bit like these hook points that I'm going to. You can pull toward an enemy at specific moments and basically counter their attack, and that is called a grasp counter. The important thing about it is it does parry damage, so we can actually create a grasp counter on command with the embedding nail, and it will deal however much damage our parry is doing, which for high attunement stacks means quite a lot of damage. So you can bring certain bosses down even faster than they would otherwise take, and it is very, very powerful for the run because some bosses don't have the option to parry them for long sequences of attacks. It's very annoying, but if you hit them with an embedding nail, you can parry basically whenever you want, which is very, very strong. All right, and we're basically immediately into our next boss. So I just want to point out again the sequence that happened there. We had a boss which gave a combat-based ability, which was the grasp counter that I'm talking about. And then after that boss, we had basically nothing stopping us from walking down to our next movement ability, which is this grapple ability that we're using. But the boss gives the combat upgrade, and then somewhere in the general world is the movement upgrade, and that's something that we'll see pretty often. So sometimes we will walk to the movement ability before having to fight a boss. Other times we'll fight the boss before getting to the movement ability, but both are pretty common. All right, the embedding nail can be a little bit, yeah, it didn't quite work there. Unless it did? It did. Okay, excellent. It can be a little bit weird on this boss. But yeah, this was our next boss. This is a story-required boss. The ability they give is effectively useless for the speedrun, although it is going to be useful in this run because we will still have some deaths. But this is what I was talking about earlier, which is something that actually makes refighting a boss significantly easier. Well, maybe not significantly, but a little bit easier than fighting them for the first time. It's the death mark. And that basically gives us a heal when we parry the boss. We can kick our sort of dead ghost out of the boss and then use that to heal once. So it's pretty powerful for retries, especially when we are, 2 hits from death. That basically gives us a 3rd hit. There is also a regular heal in this game, and we'll be using that too, but it's a nice little bonus just to have. But yeah, so we, at the beginning here, are sort of just collecting our abilities and moving through the areas that we need to go through and that you would likely be going through in a casual playthrough. Once we get to the next stage of the game, we'll start going in a little bit less typical of an order. But this beginning area, we're sort of just following where the game signposts you to go. This game does become quite nonlinear after this stage of the game, but this is sort of considered the first act of the game. In the second act, things get much less straightforward, and that is where a lot of the routing questions start to pop up. You'll also see me leveling up a lot here. When I level, I pretty much always am going to put points into pliability, and that trait is the trait that does that increases our parry damage. So the more pliability, the more parry damage that we have. I need to heal. Shoot. You can't parry while you're healing, so it was a dangerous heal, but that's okay. Like I said earlier, boss run backs are very quick.
Especially Prime Pitcher. You're right there.
Yeah, you are absolutely right next to the bench. Okay, but there's my body, which I was talking about a second ago, so I was able to heal using that. You're going to be seeing that a lot, probably. Hopefully not, but probably.
Nah, we got this.
Oh, I didn't mean that, but that's okay. Okay. So as before, I am looking to increase that that green bar that's on the that's just above the health bar, and you can see how the damage just ramps up exponentially as the fight goes on. So at the end of fights, a couple of parries is enough to finish it. At the beginning of fights, we are dealing, a modest amount of damage. Not incredibly low, but certainly not enough to kill quickly. It makes for a very interesting run. But this is, I think it's a good damage build, but I think it's unlikely to be the only damage build that we have for this run. The thing about the parry-based damage build with the attunement is it takes almost nothing to get going. So we're able to start building it with effectively 0 points in any stats, with no special armor, nothing. We just have to start using this bow and then parry the bosses, and that makes it very, very attractive for early speedruns, especially because we don't have to worry about where we're getting all the upgrade material. We don't have to worry about how much money it costs to upgrade things. All we have to do is say parry, go burr, and shoot that bow as often as we can.
Parry-go-burr is certainly one general principle for speedrunning, I think. If you're a fan of Sekiro in the chat, no, but also I think that is interesting to like reflect on, right? Where it's, as games start out, you're often looking at what is just like maximally accessible. I think especially in the sort of run aesthetic, I guess, that I know you to have, Math, and that I share, where it's like, what lets me do speedruns, even if it is not strictly the fastest thing, and like the minutia of timing everything and saying, okay, we take a minute to pick up this weapon, but it saves us a minute 15 later on down the line. That all sort of comes in afterwards so that you can be doing runs.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially this early in a game's speedrunning cycle. The most important thing is being able to just do a run. So, like I said, this game has dozens of weapons. It has all sorts of different stats. There's all sorts of different stat distributions we can do. There's different upgrade materials. There's different creature molds. There's different item molds. There's so many variables to look at. And if you looked at this game and you wanted to run it, but you saw all of that, and you wanted to be, the absolute best, most optimal route, the fastest it could possibly be, you would be stuck for quite a while trying to figure out all those questions. Because certain items might take, a minute to grab, but save enough time on the bosses that it's worth it. And, those things are things that will be figured out eventually, for sure. But at this stage, if we get a weapon that's good enough, then we can just do runs with that weapon, and then eventually we'll have to learn the new weapon. Also, I love that dialogue line. It's, "You don't care for their irksome squeaks." Absolutely unhinged. But yeah, the parry build is certainly the first pass, and it is quite good. As you can see on some of the initial bosses that I've fought here, they die very quickly if I get my parries. Unfortunately, if I miss my parries, I die very quickly, but that's sort of how Grime II goes. I think no matter what weapon we chose, that would still be the case.
This is one of the breakpoints in Act 1 of this run. This gauntlet sucks.
Yeah, this is absolutely awful, and it is very plausible that I take a death or two here, but that's okay.
Nah, we got
Go
this.
homing droplets.
The Prime Pitcher was an RNG manip for this. But yeah, obviously with many enemies, especially many enemies that do not give themselves parryable windows, you can't stack attunement on anything particularly well, and so you're forced to actually play the game by more or less the game's rules.
Yep, exactly. So this is the kind of place where the parry build really fails, because these teapots right here, we can't parry them. There is one opportunity we have to get a grasp counter on them. Oh no. Okay, that attack is parryable, luckily, but these teapots cannot be parried. So there's one attack that they do very, very rarely, which you can grasp counter and get parry damage, but you saw how long that took compared to some of the boss fights that we've been doing. All right, but yes, the nice thing about this game as well, like I said, they really want to keep boss fights relatively slightly early. That's what happens when you miss your parries. They want to keep boss fights pretty well. Here, I get to demonstrate this point I'm making. They keep the boss fights less frustrating. So that arena was awful, but when we come back to do the boss fight again, we don't have to do the arena again. The boss is just here.
This is another, I think, well, we're doing general principles for the viewing public. Know what parts of the speedrun are going to hurt you. This gauntlet before Tankard Warden, if you die to the last enemy of the gauntlet, you have to run back the entire gauntlet into the boss. If you can clear the gauntlet, even if it means burning resources to do so, you're like, while you are learning the run, you have a much neater, like, you have a much better time, I think is the words I was looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although Tankard Warden is still a bit of a meanie.
Yeah, Tankard Warden can be rude, but like every other boss in this run, the second half of the fight goes so much faster. So that's the sort of advantage of the parry build, is the harder half of the fights, which is the second half of them most of the time, you get to basically just delete, which is wonderful. The problem is surviving the first half of the fight, which is significantly longer than it should be, effectively.
And ultimately, that was an absurdly clean second half of Tankard Warden there.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, the wonderful thing about the parry build as well is when it goes well, it looks great. So there's something very fun about parrying, 3 or 4 consecutive attacks and then the boss just dies. We don't always get that experience, but when we do, it feels good.
Never before discussed idea in Souls-like gaming. If you don't get hit, it's good.
Exactly. But yeah, it's been fascinating trying to play around with some different weapons, some different damage builds. In a speedrun, we always have this balance of how easy it is to get the weapon and get the upgrades versus, let's say you load into your late game file and you try out every weapon. There's some weapons that are absolutely insanely good casually late game, but they're useless to us because they take too long to build. But it's so much fun, I think, to make those kinds of decisions, to find something that works, that's good enough, gets you doing runs, and then once you're more familiar with the run, with the bosses, once you know the boss patterns a little bit better, you understand what your damage windows are, then when you go back to try different weapons, you're going to have a better time. What we really need, though, is simply more skips around all of these dialogue triggers.
Yeah, that was a thing from Grime 1 in a couple of places, was just like figuring out, with Hitbox Viewer what the exact bounds of someone striking up a conversation was. I feel like Mister we've tried and haven't been able to hit anything. But 2 week old game.
I've tried a few times, but I think what we need to do is go back to my that platform didn't quite let me up, and now I have to wait for it to reform. It's fine. I tried a few times and was largely unsuccessful, but I think what we need to do is go back to some of what got my casual file absolutely bricked and grab some extra abilities before we come over here and see if we can skip it with those. But that's a tale for another day.
An important part of speedrunning is never learning your lesson, not fully at least.
Exactly. See, the thing is, we might brick the casual save, and that feels a little bit bad. But bricking your speedrun, that's just a reset. That's fine. We can deal with that.
That is very much the ethos of early speedruns, though. I feel like it's like, we're gonna do this again anyway. I like this video game enough. It's only once you're in the hundreds, thousands of attempts that it's like, if I reset here, I'm going to lose it.
Yep, absolutely. I'm okay just
sidebar, but how did Ver catch you there? I swear
have
you're unluckier
no
than
idea.
Every other runner.
It's actually, it's insane. I think I've hit that skip maybe once. So that is one of the dialogue skips in question. We can actually skip that dialogue by doing basically exactly what I did, but apparently not exactly what I did. But that's okay. We're
Every
learning.
Copy of Grime 2 is bespoke and beautiful.
Absolutely. One of the things that I also love about new speedruns is having things that work, but we don't know why yet, and trying to figure out what is actually happening that makes this thing happen. And I find that to be a very enjoyable process. Not everyone shares my view, but I think it's quite good.
No, the
personalized
process of
copies.
discovery is important.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're coming up on our next boss here, and I will again be fighting with the attunement bow. This boss is a little bit rude. We get kind of ambushed, but this is kind of... it's a bit like the very first mini boss we fought in the game. So this boss right here is the exact same enemy as another boss, or a mini boss, actually, that we're going to be fighting much later in the run. So we get mini bosses downgraded to regular enemies, and we get bosses downgraded to mini bosses. But unfortunately for me, it's actually the mini boss version of this boss that kills me more, so... The main thing is here, we only take maybe a third of our health bar with each... Oh, I didn't think that he was going for another one. Okay, that's okay. That's why we take the safety bench. But maybe we only lose a third of our health bar with each hit. The one that we fight later, we lose half our health bar with each hit. And the difference between 2 and 3 hits is pretty significant, it turns out. But yeah, Grime is nothing if not hard to master. It is a difficult game for sure.
So I understand that this is a little bit of an outlandish question, knowing you. But when you're looking at practicing these boss fights, when in time it happens, what are you looking at in terms of like how you improve run on run and how you improve attempt on attempt?
That is a great question. I would say one of the things that I like to do that many others also like to do with their boss practice is try to get streaks of kills. So I try to get, 2 or 3 in a row. And something like that can be helpful. Also, you have to be very careful with this boss. He does actually continue attacking after dying, and that can kill you. And if it does kill you, you have to fight the boss again. But anyway, we're past them now. But yeah, I think, generally speaking, my boss practice goes from, of course, kill the boss a single time. That's goal number 1. And before we get to that stage, it's, maybe reach the, second phase or final phase of the fight or whatever the case may be. But once we've killed the boss, then my focus tends to shift toward, killing them a certain number of times in a row. It's sort of a placeholder for consistency for people who don't want to actually keep numbers, which, despite my name being Mathulu, I would prefer not to. So I can count to 5, but I don't want to count, 17 out of 22, But yeah, boss patterns, they can take quite a while to learn, especially in a game that's as hard as Grime II. And one thing I always want to make sure of anytime I'm doing this kind of boss practice is also to make sure that I have seen and know how to react to every move that they can throw at me, and then start to basically understand when a certain attack is happening. And once I've done that, then life gets easier.
And yeah, you say that like it's an easy foregone conclusion, but Grime in particular, Grime 1, I know, there were some attacks that were like a 1 in 40 chance for bosses to pull out, and sometimes you just get got by those.
Yep, absolutely. Sometimes you just see a new boss attack for the first time ever, and, if you do things like showcase the game in marathons, you're at least 50 to 75% more likely to encounter such a thing. And I have actually seen this happen, and sometimes I will be playing a game, speedrunning a game for a very long time, but because of the play style we have when we're speedrunning, maybe a very aggressive play style, we absolutely never see a particular attack that might only occur if you're far enough away from the boss for a certain amount of time. So I'll watch a casual playthrough of the game, and then suddenly I'll learn about this whole new set of boss patterns that I've literally never seen before. And I think that that's a wonderful experience. So yeah, one of those other things is if there is a really rare attack, try to figure out what caused it. And if it was really just rare, certain boss in Grime 1 does in fact come to mind here, then, you know, you just accept that 1 in 40 of your runs will potentially die there, and it's fine. But yeah, I really enjoy practicing bosses for the sake of consistently killing them. I am less of a boss practice for speed purposes enjoyer. You know, I like to learn fast strats, but I'm not one to grind a boss kill time down, you know, arbitrarily low. But I love doing challenge boss fights and just trying to survive, or trying to do them hitless, or trying to do them however many times in a row. Those kinds of things are wonderful.
And I forget, Matt, do you do the story cutscenes here at this point in the run?
I do not, but I know we were planning on a break sort of roughly around here. So if we want to take that, we can. If not, I do go to Dregberg here. So I can continue.
I think let's break here then. Once you're safely in a surrogate, we can head out to the main menu. For those of you who are new to Hotfix, we like to take breaks about every hour for some of our longer runs and showcases. This is so that our performers can get a break, so that our production team can get a break, and so that we can run ads on the channel. Thank you so much to everyone who is supporting GDQ with your subs, gift subs, and bits cheered. Your contributions literally help us keep doing this stuff. If you're enjoying the stream, consider subscribing for access to exclusive emotes, ad-free viewing, and chat during replays. You can also, if that's not in the cards for you right now, completely understandable, please share the stream around to your friends. GDQ is year-round, and I love yapping about speedrunning. Math loves yapping about speedrunning. Everyone you will see on this channel loves yapping about speedrunning. The more people we get the opportunity to do it for, the cooler it is. So we are going to take a quick break here. Please get up, stretch, pet a small animal near you if that is an option to you, and when we come back, more Grime 2. Welcome back to Make Your Own Victory, the GDQ Hotfix show that attempts to capture 100% of the joy of speedrunning in 0% of the completed video games. From 3 hours 50 minutes to 3:43 to 3:12 to 2:56 to 2:20 something and beyond. I forgot the world record history, it's fine. We are making excellent progress on destroying the Grime II speedrun, and here to return to satiate percent, it's Cthulhu.
Thank you, Quack. Yes, and I believe the world record, of course, I haven't been keeping up on the Discord in the last 2 hours or so who knows, but I believe the world record sits at 2:21 right now. So it's coming down. We're getting there. But all right, let's get back into the game. So we just wrapped up roughly the first act of the game, and I will be loading back in 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
Good luck, part 2.
Thank you. Yeah, so up to this point, everything that we've done has been relatively straightforward. We've pretty much followed the intended path through the game. We went through the areas in the order that the devs largely expected us to do. The second half of this run is a lot less linear. And as we'll see a bit later, there's also some alternate paths we can take in that first half that make things a little bit more spicy. But in the second half, there's really no clear place to go. What normally happens here in a casual playthrough is you will be told by the person that we just saved, which is Irgog. We'll be told by Irgog to go and collect 3 different parts for a weapon that needs to be built. And that was interesting. They shot really late, but that's okay. And those 3 parts are pretty far apart, so you can go to really any of the locations that are indicated by them. we are going to be taking a route through which involves no real major skips at the moment, although on the first couple patches of the game, this actually would have been a lot more difficult, because a wall that was right here, a one-way wall from the other side, actually got removed. Before, we used to need to do a number of skips to take this route, but it was still actually faster. So luckily the devs have made this a little bit more of a dev-intended option for progression here, if not necessarily the expected one. But yeah, we'll be looking to get 3 major movement upgrades and to fight 3 major bosses, and those do not exactly correspond one-to-one. So we're going to get our first 2 movement upgrades with basically the first boss, and then we're going to go do a whole long quest to go fight the second of the bosses, and then we're going to finally get our last movement ability and the last boss. This is the part that was the hardest to route, mostly because of that non-linearity. And the route that we've decided upon is still very much in flux here. So often in a Metroidvania, if you are a player of a Metroidvania and you're trying to figure out how to route a run, you know, be it any percent or be it something more cultured here, like we showcase on Make Your Own Victory. Wait, I do want to grab the safety surrogate as well.
After my own heart.
But whatever it is that you're trying to route, one thing that's often helpful in Metroidvanias is to simply rush all of the possible movement as soon as you can. And that tends to just open up the possibilities for where you're going with routing. Usually having more movement abilities means things are faster. You have more potential routes. You can take more paths through various rooms. There's always a balance, though, in any Metroidvania with what objectives you actually need to do. So you never want to go, too far out of the way or have to backtrack too much if you can help it. So we have to sort of balance those things in this game as well, of course. And the first ability that we get is probably the most important, which is this oh, no. That's not good. Yeah, that's not good. That's okay. This enemy is also my nemesis. It's okay. I have several nemeses. Okay. It's fine. We're thriving.
Fine.
Grime...
I love spike hitboxes.
Yes, Grime is an excellent video game, and sometimes it is very rude to me, and that's okay. But yeah, so in this game, we got probably the most useful of the abilities, which is this, it's called Burst Jump. It is a very tall jump, a super jump. It has to be initiated from the ground. I don't know why I grabbed this right here, but it's okay. Don't worry about it. That was an upgrade material that was considered for the route and ultimately decided against. Oh my goodness. Okay, these platforms are so rude to me. But yeah, so the ability that we got is probably the most useful, and that is part of why we rush it immediately. We also need one other ability. Well, need is perhaps a strong word, but one other ability is...
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, quite nice to have, which is the air dash ability. Go! Oh my goodness, how am I alive? Okay, it's fine, it's fine.
Doubt.
That room is the worst room. Also, continue having doubts because we're not done yet. Okay, good. I'm sorry. This area is just being so hectic at the moment. Okay,
Those
okay.
like 3 enemies below there are like that, and the Tankard Warden Gauntlet, I think, have killed me personally more than anything else in this video game except the last 2 bosses.
Yeah, absolutely. This video game can just... It's honestly just the random enemies at times that really get you. The bosses are all, they are very difficult, but they are fair. They telegraph their attacks. They all, you can focus on one thing at a time. With all of these different enemies... Yeah, mostly. Not all the time, but close enough. But with these enemies, when there's 3 of them all attacking you and we're trying to run past because, we're doing a speed run, they can be exceedingly rude. But we got through, and that's okay. But yes, the other ability that we're going to be looking to get is Air Dash, and that is very helpful for movement, but it actually also takes away some of our speed tech. So Air Dash, it actually has already been proven possible. You can beat the entire game without it. Shoutouts to Zixter for already finding that. So, we'll see if we start cutting it from any percent. But at the moment, it is quite helpful. The things that you have to do to not use Air Dash are a little bit tricky and possibly not faster because of that. Yeah, that was a rough combo. Okay. Move. Thank you. I'm gonna heal as well. Fine. All right, so this is one of the 3 story bosses that we actually need to fight. They are Anvil Head, and you can see why they got that name. My favorite part about this is we need their anvil, so we have to kill them to basically just take it off of their head. And we did it.
Anvil
not even close.
Head, more like Anvil Dead. I'll go. Oh. Thanks. It's been fun. That was such a good pity laugh. Is that a required part of routing a speed game?
It is, actually. It's important. You don't want to burn too many bridges, But okay, yeah. So that was the big story boss. While we're in the area, we basically fight them to reduce the backtracking that we have to do. I'm also going to be fighting an enemy here that is actually very much not worth it, but I just want to show off this silly little parry chain that you can do. So even though that's a red attack, normally in this game that means you can't parry it unless you have the range parry ability. You can just parry that. I don't know why. Don't kill me while I'm trying to showcase how easy it is to kill you. Thank you. But yeah, you can basically just keep them stun locked forever. So I'm not going to use that hunt paint, but it is a thing that exists. That it's worth showing off. But yeah, this game has so many different potential. Oh wait, is that even the right wall that I'm shooting? I don't think it is. I think this is the wall I want to shoot. Yes, excellent. There are so many different potential weapon choices and damage options that we have labbed things like that quick kill of that particular hunt point enemy, even though we aren't actually going to be using that particular upgrade in the run at the moment. There may come a time when that becomes very useful. And that's one of the things that's fun, I think, with a new game. You get into this stage where you can just go and lab things. You can just go see, how the game works. People don't really know yet. People don't have fast strats for everything. And you can figure out fast ways of doing things. You can figure out skips, and it may turn out that they're useful. It may not, but it may. Yeah, that's Air Dash, which again is potentially going to get routed out of any percent, but for now it is in. And that's all I needed in this area. So now I will finally go and get the quest to go and get the weapon parts. We've started already. We've got our first, but I delayed it to this point so I can get a couple of upgrades while I do. This is sort of like the hub area in the game, and all of the major like vendors and especially weapon and armor upgrades are here. Also, very important that I hit the skip this conversation button. This can be like a minute of time loss if you do not skip that conversation. So it's an excellent time.
Yeah. And that is actually something else this we're talking about. One of the last things I think, especially in a game like this, one of the last pieces that will fall into place is what language to run the game on. If you've seen basically any other speedrun on this channel in human history, you're probably familiar with the fact that English tends to be a pretty slow language to speedrun in if you have the option of picking another language, it's probably faster because English is not very dense as far as languages go. But right now, you click the wrong text box and you lose 2 minutes. What if we didn't do that?
Did I not get warp in Mara's Orchard? Apparently I didn't. Okay. That's fine. So we'll go from this bench instead. But yeah, so while we're still figuring all of this out, it just makes sense to run in a language that we can actually read. Almost certainly there is a faster language than English out there, because English is, generally speaking, quite slow for any kind of text mashing that you do in basically any speed game ever. The first Grime we did run in Chinese, and I expect that we'll probably do the same in Grime II, but, you know, we'll see. So yeah, there's a lot of optimization to be had for Grime II, for things like that, and for also, you know, the actual gameplay portions of you know, how to fight bosses, how to move through rooms, how to remember to get both of the seals in a particular area so that you can warp to it instead of running back from a different bench in a completely different area. Those kinds of things are still being worked out, and they are going to bring that time down quite a lot. It's a very fun time to be in a speedrun community, in my opinion, when you're still at that stage. You know, basically anybody can contribute to this stage of things. You know, we still just need to understand more about how the game works. You know, there's route ideas that just haven't been thought out yet. And, you know, that makes it a lot of fun. It really brings that community aspect, just because if you're just somebody who's interested in this game, you have that chance to, where am I going? You have that chance to really make a contribution to the speed run, and to, you know,
think of multiple Metroidvanias that I am aware of that have had major skips discovered by a casual player who then did not pick up the game as a speed game at all. So, like, play video games, break them apart. Play indie Metroidvania specifically. No bias, some bias.
Just a small amount of bias.
Maybe a little.
But yeah, indie Metroidvanias are simply fantastic games, and very, very interesting to route, typically. Okay. No. Okay, we're fine.
No, we're fine.
We're definitely fine. Yeah, so this game can and will kill you, as I have said. So I do need to be careful. Hazards, like those spikes, sometimes can 2 or 3 shot us. Can I make it to this wall? I think I could have, but I was kind of far. Oh, that was just rude. The platform disappeared right when I needed it. But that's fine. Yeah, the platforming can be a little bit difficult when we're on such a small amount of health as we are. I will be putting a couple of levels into health, though. Definitely once we optimize this run, the marginal damage will be more useful than an extra level or an extra couple levels in health. But by getting just 5 levels in health, I can actually take a 3rd hit. So we're getting to 4 here, and we'll get to 5 after the next boss.
And that's also, like, that is the hallmark of a specifically Cthulhu speedrun of this game, because I think a lot of other runners right now are YOLOing it and just going in with base health. And it's cool that, like, you can recognize certain speedrunners by their actions before routes converge.
Absolutely.
Anyway, that's a weird dog.
And that is a weird dog. And this dog is definitely a dangerous one. Blade Mammoth is a pretty difficult fight. The playbook will look familiar at this point, but I'd like to draw your attention to the spikes underneath that particular dog's stomach, so we do have to be careful here. But one thing that's fun is I don't want to deal with this attack. Oh no. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it. We're not living. I was like, how did we survive that first for us?
I was also like, how did we survive this? That attack is awful. I thought the embedding nail was going to interrupt. I thought that the embedding nail was going to save me, and it simply did not, but that's okay. Yeah, so one thing that's fun about this boss is that... Wait, oh, that was my body in the background. That was unfortunate. But yeah, one thing that's fun about this boss is we can use the embedding nail to get now an extra 2 free parries, basically, which is pretty good at the end of the fight. So in the second phase, I'll be trying to use both of those embedding nails. But yeah, I am gonna die. Don't do it, thank you.
It's also a well-known, well-documented feature of Souls-like speedruns that if you yell at the boss to not do it, they don't do it to you.
It's true. This is actually how the game works. I should know. I checked. Thank you. Oh, that still has a hitbox.
I learned something today.
I had no idea. Incredible.
Oh.
Yeah, so once again, I just have to shout out the devs of Grime II for making the game so generally speaking forgiving on boss run backs, because in this speedrun and in every speedrun of this game so far, we are dying many times to the bosses. When you can get 2 or 3 shot by a boss, it is very hard not to die. But that's okay, because it really doesn't actually lose as much time as it feels like. Also, one thing that we haven't talked about is what just happened there. So that was called a breath ward, and it's basically a special grasp counter opportunity that you get when a boss reaches a certain health threshold. So you can see at their health bar at the bottom, you can see okay, yeah, we're fine. A little yellow dot. So when we reach that yellow dot, we'll get an extra counter. And what that does is it gives us an extra heal when we do it as well. Okay, we got it.
GG, weird dog.
One or 2 of those breath counters. Some don't, but most do. And because it's extra parry damage, it is very, very good for us. But okay, the dog is defeated. And once again, this the bosses give these combat abilities. This was Rage Vulnerability. It does not a whole lot for us because it makes enemies take extra damage when they are in an enraged state, which specifically for us means unparryable. So combined with the fact that parries are all of our damage, that is entirely useless, but we still do need to kill this boss because they are required for the story.
Hey, it means your bow shots do 4 instead of 3 or whatever.
That's true, yeah.
It's DPS.
It is extra damage. We take what we can get.
And I think an important part of this showcase is trying to hard commit to like as many bold statements about how this game is always going to be so that we can look back on it in 6 months' time and be like, wow, we were wrong about everything.
That is true. That is an important part. For example, attunement will always deal this much damage. That's not getting nerfed, right? Right?
I mean, attunement could still be the best thing to do, even if it does get nerfed. Not having to set anything up in order to start dealing attunement damage to things is a huge part of it. For additional context, I tried really hard to make creature molds work because they're a whole new mechanic to this game that wasn't in the first game. That's like super cool and interesting, and they do a ton of damage. It just takes so long to get the build online when you can instead just pick up a weapon in area 3 and start chunking bosses for their entire health bar.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a contender. No.
Oh, the elbow.
Yep, the elbow got me. Yeah, basically the entire mini boss has the hitbox there. I do need to kill that mini boss. They are required for the story as well. But yeah, I think attunement is going to be a contender for damage, even if it gets nerfed, just because of that. Like, not needing anything to set it up is very, very strong. Although there are some bosses where the parries are few and far between. We'll be seeing one later, and you'll be seeing a secondary damage source that we're going to pick up for that I do actually have. I've picked up a couple of them, but I haven't started using them yet. So this will be an item mold. And in the Grime 1 speedruns, we did actually figure out after a very long time that it was optimal to use some items, some consumables. And this is probably going to be the case in Grime 2 as well. Though the consumables in Grime 1 were a little bit stronger because they were truly consumables in that when you used them, you no longer had them. So we had to very deliberately ration them. But they became ridiculously powerful for a couple of bosses, basically completely deleting them. I did not mean to go to the right there. That's fine. And in this game, we don't quite have that level of power, but they are still quite good. No. This area is very scary, by the way.
Yeah, they do still do an important job of depleting, like, destroying some bosses.
Yes, they absolutely do. But yeah, there's one in particular that we're going to be using pretty soon, which is the smashing block. So I'm going to put that on. I mean, you've seen the embedding nails already, but that's sort of a alternative way of getting parry damage. So it's really just using the actual parry damage that we built rather than something new. But the smashing blocks are pretty much what they sound like. We summon a gigantic block. It takes forever to form and drop, but when it does, it deals a ton of damage. It is beautiful. It is so good when it happens, and it's probably my favorite combat strategy in this game is just summon a big old block and smash them with it. So I do hope I get to show that a little bit, but yeah, there's one boss.
Big rock.
Yeah, exactly. There's one boss in particular that we have very little ability to parry, and we're just going to be basically spamming some big old crushing blocks on them, and I can't wait for that. All right, so that was another bit of dialogue to get those items there, these pen spears. So to get that, we did actually need to fight the Blade Mammoth, which is why we took the path into Blade Garden that we did. We can actually get into this area from basically near where we got Air Dash. But the problem with that is there's actually multiple bosses in the way. So if we didn't need to fight Blade Mammoth, it might have been worth it. But needing Blade Mammoth, we definitely wanted to enter the area from that direction. All right, and then I needed these two big mini bosses, which are now dead. So that was the Axe Great Blade, and we fought the Sword one a little while ago. So now we're actually all ready to go to our next big boss for the story. And this boss is easily the hardest boss in the run, in my opinion. And even the hardest boss in any percent, in my opinion.
That's maybe a bold take.
Yeah,
Smash 3 stuff is nasty. But it is certainly Grime 2 in a nutshell, because you either explode it or it explodes you.
Yeah, this boss is very fast and very... it's quick because you can parry just about everything. The problem is you can parry just about everything, but it's certainly not easy to do so. So I think in my opinion, it's the hardest just because it has the tightest of the parry windows of all of the bosses, in my opinion. But it is a very fun boss to fight when you get the hang of it. All right, and the approach actually went amazingly well.
Seeing in chat, this is the most awesome boss, however. I'm inclined to agree, I think.
It is a very good boss.
Hey, if you're watching Grime 2 for the first time, A, thank you for being here. B, play Grime 2. And C, sound off with what your favorite weird dog in this game is.
It's true. Yeah, this is yet another weird dog. This weird dog is a better fight than the other weird dog, I will say.
I also do have to say, while we see what the omen, while we set the tone for the fight, that scream that Quadblade just did was in the first trailer for this game, and a little bit of like IRL game lore. Grime 2 has like Grime 1, excuse me, has like a major body horror aesthetic. And the dev for the game before Grime 2, like as Grime 2 got announced, was like, we've heard feedback and don't worry about it. There's not gonna be nearly as much body horror in this game. And then it was dog with giant swords for teeth / a face and like several different kinds of hand fingernail creatures. And it was like, yeah, this is the good stuff.
Yeah, it was honestly one of the funniest moments. Just in the lead up to the release of this game, because it's so absurd.
Anyway, good Quadblade.
Oh, there we go. I wanted to do the smashing block strat. Okay, so if you get Quadblade down to really low health, they completely give up and just stop attacking. But unfortunately for our parry build, that's really bad because we can't parry anything. So we just have to sit there and hit them with the bow for like 10 years. But we have a new strat now, which is summon a smashing block and just watch as they sit there until the smashing block is formed and crushes them. And it's amazing.
I'm not gonna lie, I was really expecting like one fast attack gotcha, and that was absurd. GG Quadblade.
Thank you. Yeah, Quadblade is probably the fight I'm most scared of in this run, if it's not the hardest, which I do still contend, but I don't know. I did die to Pitcher Guard, and I didn't die to Quadblade, so draw your own conclusions, I suppose. But yeah, this game is certainly not easy, but I love that fight. It's such a good fight. All right, and now we head to our final ability. So this area, you may have noticed that we went through before, and we did, but the game does actually have a bit of a hidden requirement. It seems like it's been updated slightly, so what I'm saying might not quite be true on the latest patch of the game, but at least when we were initially playing, we needed to get the other two items. So the Quadblade weapon and the anvil head, I guess. The anvil.
The anvil space head.
Yeah, the anvil space head. So we needed to get those two before we could actually get to the boss of this area. That no longer seems to be true, but there is some kind of requirement that we haven't yet figured out. So again, if you are interested in Grime 2, what a great time to get into running, because even things like when exactly certain fights become available is something that's still not actually known. And might change the route a little bit. So we couldn't quite have done this on our first pass, just because of that blocker, but otherwise it would have been good to do. We would love to fight this third boss first if possible, just to make the routing a little bit cleaner, slightly less backtracking. But we do have one more movement ability to grab before we can do that, and that is an ability called Grasp Slide, which I think is one of the more interesting, kind of slightly unique Metroidvania movement abilities here. Nope, not quite. It will allow us to basically slide along walls. And in particular, it will allow us to go through these like narrow gaps that have hazards, so you'll be seeing them very, very shortly. But yeah, this is our last movement ability for the satiated percent run. Any percent does continue and get a little bit more, but we'll leave that for another showcase. But yeah, so you can see how it'll work, and we'll put it to the test here. So you can sneak past these hazards by sliding with them. Now this third gap is actually wide enough that you can just fall through without using grasp slide. Yeah. I still haven't failed that. I was sure I was gonna fail it right now because I haven't failed it yet, but seems my luck is holding out, which is unlike me, honestly.
Nah,
but yeah.
That's how marathon showcases will go.
Yeah.
Game had to make fun of you with Faceless Bishop Darsh, and then it's like, and now we're gonna first try Quad Blade.
Exactly. Darsh harder than Quad Blade confirmed. Those
you weren't ready for the gift of Mara.
Yes. Absolutely. But yeah, we have just this little platforming gauntlet to go. It is pretty straightforward. It sort of doubles as, you know, a little bit of a test of platforming skill and also a little bit of a tutorial for the grasp slide ability. Technically speaking, the tutorial was just that first platforming section that we went through. I don't need a burst jump there, that's fine. But a lot of this is relatively basic if you are used to the grasp slide, which most players at this point of the game are not quite. But of course, by this point of having run any percent for a little while, it's not too bad. There's 3 spiky boys there at the very end, though. They are the real hard part of that platforming.
Yeah, because as we saw right at the start, sometimes you just get bobbled between them forever, and it's fine and good, actually.
Okay, let me make sure the shortcut is actually open. So I want to open the shortcut to the bench, but I don't remember exactly. Okay, yeah, this does get us back to the bench. Okay. Excellent. There are sometimes, you know, an extra set of breakable walls to go through, and if you don't quite open all of them, it can be a bad time. But yes, we'll have our final boss of this run here, and that is going to be Mara's Shell. This fight is so cool and so bad for our parry build. So
fitting final boss for the Satiate run. Also, I see you in chat watching the estimate. Don't worry about it. Don't look at the runtime.
It's fine. Don't worry.
But no, this is truly... Although it's gotten, as I understand it, a fair bit better. Better for our parry build over the last, like, 5 days or so.
Yes,
People have
so
been finding ways to make the fight more bearable.
So everything is on such a short time scale so far, but yes. What we have discovered is that the giant I'm gonna smash you with a big cinder block attack works really well on a boss that does not move. So Mara stays in this exact position for the entire fight. That isn't what I was trying to do. There we go. So yeah, we can just like summon a couple of blocks and you can just like watch her health go down from that. Ow, I don't want to be standing in. You can watch my health go down from that. But yeah, this basically puts her into the second phase almost immediately, which is great because in the first phase, for whatever reason, we cannot parry the stomp attack that she was doing there. So that last attack she did, she stomps the ground 3 times. It is unparryable if we do it, if we try to do it in the first phase. The attack is like on a background layer and we simply cannot parry it. We can't be hit by it either. So that's the you know, bright side of the coin. But not being able to parry it basically means that that phase would have taken forever to try to do. But with the power of 4 smashing blocks, it doesn't take long at all. Mara is honestly like one of the most visually striking bosses. I absolutely love this fight.
Yeah, absolutely on my Mount Rushmore of boss fights, just in video games.
Yeah, it is a very, very good fight. Okay, after this I'm going to heal, I think. Okay, yeah, I thought we would... Oh, no. Okay, the lightning kept going. Okay, excellent. So now we're into the second phase, or the third phase, I don't know what to call it. There's the kind of like halfway through the first phase, you get that big tires coming out of the background attack. But yeah, this is the second full phase, and now she is still not moving, but she is on the ground. And the attacks are completely different. So none of her attacks from phase 1 are here, and every attack here is unique to this phase, which is very cool. But one thing that does work in this phase is embedding nails. Oh shoot, I tried to parry that, which does work, but I didn't do it well enough. Don't die. Okay. This is fine. Okay, now, getting the boss to 0 HP, you might think is the end of the fight, and you would normally be right, but in this fight, there is a final attack, which plays a lot like the attack at the phase transition, except it lies a little bit. If you look over Mara's head, there are 6 holes, 6 like dots that are filling in with these stars. You need to parry 6 sets. 6 items, 2 sets, I don't know. Whatever. 6 total things, and then you can finally defeat the boss. But yeah, that is Mara. And after Mara, we have so much dialogue and the largest cutscene. There is legitimately like 2 to 4 minutes of cutscenes here.
Nah, this is 2 minutes, and it's cinema. Yeah. Cinema, but it's okay because I've prepared for this. I mean, obviously, please admire the cinema that's unfolding on your screen, but also, while we are in this like 90-second, 2-minute unskippable cutscene, I wanted to remind people that it's Community Week, Community Month, excuse me, here on Monday nights on the Hotfix, and I wanted to let people know, if you are a member of certain sub-communities, we have multiple events on the channel that are accepting submissions now. If you are a Black speedrunner, our Juneteenth celebration is accepting speedruns and challenge runs between now and April 21st. That is going to be on this channel from June 18th through the 21st. It is going to be a phenomenal time. If you did not catch Back to Black this year, the VODs for that can be found on our YouTube channel. Black in a Flash does incredible work, and Juneteenth is going to be a treat. Additionally, our AAPI Heritage Month celebration has submissions open as well from now through April 23rd, and that is going to be running in late May, the 23rd through the 24th. I highly encourage you to get those submissions in. We are constantly looking for things on the Hotfix channel for our various affinity groups and just in general. It's a great time. Speedrunning is year-round here. That cutscene is absolutely beautiful, and I am maybe going to cosplay as Mara at some point. It's so pretty.
It is so pretty. The hair gets me absolutely every time. Like, the 4 sets of hair, each their own, like, set of colors. It's just breathtaking. It's so good. The art in this game generally is just incredible. But all right, we are nearing the end of the run. So now that we have all 3 weapon parts, we can go and turn them in. We do have one little cutscene to do here. This is lightly story related, but dealing with some side characters that we do not care about for the purposes of this run. So we go and trigger this cutscene, and then we just have to go and sit in the surrogate again. And then we will have one more story cutscene, And then we'll have the most important choice of the run. The only time I can fully brick, well, okay, maybe not the only time considering my casual, but one of the only times that I can fully brick the run entirely. I need to make sure that I choose the correct dialogue option after this, all of this dialogue happens here. Okay, so here we are handing the 3 weapon parts to Irgog. Now we just need to go and talk to Vare, who's up at the top here, and then we can drop on back down. Some of this dialogue is skippable, some of it is not. This is another case where if we do not skip the dialogue, we lose like a minute. And, you know, that's okay. I'm pretty sure multiple of the any percent world records that have happened so far have sat through at least one completely optional dialogue sequence that was at least a minute long. So, you know, at the moment, things can still be optimized a little.
There's time save. There's time save
a little bit of time save, yeah. All right, so down we go. Final discussion here. This is where we need to say, skip the conversation. Okay. So Irgog finishes forging a weapon and is going to hand it to us. Not the most safety conscious way to hand us a weapon, by the way. Irgog literally just tosses this sharp blade directly at us, and that sends us into this little lovely sequence here, where we are kind of kicked out of the world entirely. And very importantly, we are asked whether we've had enough or whether we need more. In particular, whether we want more or whether we are satiated. And we are satiated.
And we're done here.
And that is time.
Incredible.
So the game here is rude. It says basically come back when you change your mind, effectively, and it kicks us back out to the main menu. So no credits, nothing, just that's wrong, and here we are. But that's where we end our run. So
hey Matt, do you want some good news?
Sure, Quack.
So I'm looking at all of the live splits that I can see in the Grime Discord, and I'm pretty sure, based on the any percent runs that I can see, that is in fact the world record for satiated percent at this time. I'm checking all the live splits I can see, but I'm going to have to confer upon you the title of greatest runner to ever do it. Watching
that run, I mean, I think there's really nowhere that time can be saved to. That's
literally nowhere. So, extremely shrewd viewers may have noticed a small discrepancy in between the time currently on the timer and the time on the estimate for this showcase. When we put this showcase together, the any percent world record was about 4 hours long, and now, as the present moment, the any percent world record is underneath the estimate for this satiate percent run. So, we have in fact prepared for this eventuality. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Math has a second file of Grime II, Grime II 2, if you will, and we are going to investigate some potentially game-breaking glitches that have come up in literally the last 48 hours. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back with some more shenanigans. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Make Your Own Victory. We were chatting on the break, and this might have been a record for farthest underestimate a hotfix run has come, but we prepared for such eventualities, and we have not one, but two bonus things to show you as a treat for Math absolutely destroying this speed game. So to kick things off with a Grime II unrestricted showcase of some brand new glitches from yesterday, welcome back, Cthulhu.
Thank you, Quack. And I will get right into the game here. So I will need a new file for this, but we have a file that's past the intro already. So we're going to just head on in and get working toward these brand new glitches that we have found. So a little bit of background. This game, of course, is very, very new, and people are still in the process of finding all sorts of different tech, all sorts of different glitches. A number have been found that are of varying use to the speedrun, but just last night, a pretty massive glitch was found, and perhaps more importantly for us, it is available quite early, so I'm going to be trying to just rush my way over there. There is a particular creature mold that we can get. So I explained a little bit about creature molds, but effectively, some of them allow us to transform into enemies. And it turns out that the hitbox of those enemies can sometimes push us through walls. You can imagine that that is, in fact, very useful in a Metroidvania, and in, generally speaking, pretty much any game. But we are able to both get out of bounds with it and also to clip through specific one-way barriers that are meant to stop our progression. In particular, the run that we just did, which is Satiate percent, that is the beginning of the any percent run as it currently stands. After these glitches have been, fully tested, we will actually be able to skip basically the entire quest that we just showed you. So we needed to go and get all of those weapon parts to really start the last act of the game, the last bit of story. It gives us access to some additional areas that are usually not accessible. But with this glitch, we are able to actually go into those areas without doing any part of that quest at all. So I'm going to be trying to showcase some of that, some of the power of these wall clips. Gonna try to do this skip. Let's go.
Wow,
that is pretty tight.
One, nice.
Oops. Oh no! Don't block me. Wait. I don't think I've had this problem before. Okay, there we go. The spiked lad just completely blocking me there. But yeah, so normally in a full run, I would be going to the side to get some armor, but because we're just doing a glitch showcase, I'll just be moving through here as quickly as we can. We do still have to go through this initial area to get started. The ability that we need in order to start the wall clips basically comes from that the start of that third area that we went to, which is the Faceless Mountain. So the first two sections effectively progress as normal.
And I would love to set the scene with the "Oh my god, game over, baby" key door skip post was posted in the Grime Discord less than 12 hours ago.
Oh my god. This is absolutely brand new tech. So I spent some time trying to figure out all of what we can do with this. A couple of other runners have also been spending a lot of time today trying to figure out what can be done with this tech. And the answer so far is a lot. So we will be definitely using this to break open the game as much as we can. It's a very, very exciting time. Anytime you're at the start of the speedrun of any game, it's a lot of fun, but finding these kinds of glitches, finding this kind of tech, it's always so momentous in the early stages, because there's no, there's really very few sequence breaks as it stands in the any percent run, and that will very quickly no longer become true. So the amount of time that we can save will get a little bit smaller and smaller as the optimization happens. Yeah, these first two areas I'm going to do sort of as normal. So similar to what we just saw with the Satiate % run, just with a couple of the safeties removed, since we will not be dealing with nearly as many fights. Actually, one of the fun things about this is it will make the number of fights required much lower, but the fights we have to do, including the final fight, are now going to be extremely underleveled. We don't have any kind of, super damage or invincibility or any kind of glitch like that. So by skipping almost to the final fight, it's going to be an extraordinarily underleveled fight. We'll die even faster than normal. And that's going to be very, very interesting to see.
The difference between 3 hits to die and 2 hits to die is a lot, but what about the difference between 2 hits to die and 0.6 hits to die?
Exactly. Yeah, now one thing that we are learning about some of these wall clips is they can be a little bit inconsistent. Again, this is brand new speed tech that we're talking about. So the intricacies haven't all been worked out yet. They seem to be possibly frame rate dependent, and very much setup dependent. So depending on how close to a particular wall we get, we may or may not get a particular clip. Oh, I think I didn't grab the other seal, but that's okay. But yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how this run will evolve with glitches, especially. In Grime 1, we had a similar glitch that allowed us to get outside of walls, and that run became truly absurd, because one of the things that we could do there is clip out of bounds and then fall down. Wait, I didn't grab another weapon, did I? Oh no, I did grab the mace, okay. Thought they were going to take my maul axe and I would have to fight them parry only. But yeah, we could clip out of bounds and then fall down to an area much further down, and that will probably also become a thing here. But we do need to work out the details of exactly where to fall, figure out the out of bounds geometry. It's going to be fascinating. That's one of the things that I'm so excited about with Grime speedrunning. This kind of early in a game's life cycle set of glitches are just so fascinating, just to see the evolution. But yeah, this is probably the biggest bit of tech. Now, I will say the game is also actively being patched, so it is possible that they will patch this tech if they decide that that it's detrimental to casual players, but I'd be a bit surprised just because the clips in question are, like I said, a little bit inconsistent at times, and also just generally speaking, kind of difficult to realize that they work.
I'm seeing in chat, the perfect glitch run is skip everything into a ridiculously underpowered final boss. What do we think? Is that, I don't know, like, so, I'm curious for the general opinion on this as well, but I tend to be a glitch-less enjoyer on balance, but glitch hunting, like, just glitches for their own sake, is a ton of fun and always, like, fascinating to watch. I feel like skip everything into ridiculously underpowered boss is my idea of a bad afternoon, though. Not to call you out specifically, of course. It is, every speedrun is someone's favorite speedrun, but, like, I'm curious what the general the general vibe is from Grime speedrunners, from everyone.
Yeah, I personally think that skip everything into a ridiculously underpowered final boss is a pretty good time, but I'm the kind of runner that very much likes suffering through some very difficult boss fights, so I'm maybe not the authority on the issue either. But I think there's a certain level of appeal there, you know, potentially very difficult skips, potentially some easier skips. The actual mechanics of the wall clipping are pretty straightforward. They just don't work everywhere. Basically, the game is, a very complex three-dimensional game happening here, even though we only play on 2 dimensions. Every object is in 3D, and some of your weapon attacks also go into 3D, some molds do too, and some of that might be what's happening, why they become a little bit inconsistent, perhaps not super, super visible. And I think it makes for kind of a fascinating experience. You have these complicated skips, and then you have this truly ridiculous boss fight at the end of it. I don't know. I think the absurdity is an appealing side of it.
Seeing some stuff in the chat about other categories also being a factor, glitches, but certain requirements like 100% all dungeons. I think that's something super interesting about Grime specifically, where we just saw Satiate, right? Where you have to, like, the point of that run is to collect the 3 main story items, the anvil head, the frail horn, and the quad blade, which in theory, with wall clips, we could completely avoid doing, but a satiate percent unrestricted, where you could walk through walls in this manner, but still are required to complete those story objects specifically. Obviously, I'm biased in favor of partial categories. Hi, welcome to Make Your Own Victory. But that sort of thing is fascinating to me.
Yeah, I do agree. I think when you add that extra requirement on it, it makes for some crazy routing for glitches, because, yeah, maybe you can just no clip to the final boss or whatever, but if you aren't allowed to do that in your category, if you've got to do something more central in the world, then you have to come up with different ways to accomplish that. But that's why we're all here at Make Your Own Victory, right?
Yeah,
we like doing weird things in video games, weird bits of routing that you might not see. All right, so we are now heading into the area where I will be able to get the creature molds in question. So I need to kill 6, well, not kill, but I need to absorb 6 different enemies. So you see, once we get them down to half health, we can dash into them with this. It's similar to the dash counters that I was doing in the Satiate run. But we can dash into them and get the creature mold counted. So you can see over on the left that it's at 3 of 6 on this hardened half made. And the hardened half made is what we're going to be using for these clips. So I'll open these in case we need to warp back here. And the last 3 are all up in here. And then I'll be trying to show on one of the early uses of this. 1 HP? No! Okay, the heal takes a minute to go through. The dream turned into a nightmare. But yeah, one of the early uses of the wall clips is actually just right next to where we get it. And we will be clipping through a wall there that basically skips the entire zone. So you'll see pretty much immediately this game, if you have played casually, you'll know there are a lot of breakable walls that act as shortcuts back to where you've been. And generally speaking, all of those can be clipped through. So being able to go through those areas without needing to actually go around and open the shortcut is going to save a lot of time in the run, just in, going places we were going anyway, but also, of course, in opening new routes that were basically previously impossible. And the most important is one that lets us into the late game areas without finishing the weapon quest that we were doing in Satiate Percent. Okay. So there is the hardened half made, which will allow me to do these glitches. The way that creature molds work, I didn't actually talk about the system at all because we didn't use them much in Satiate Percent, but the way that they work is through a system called Paint, and you can see it under my health. So I have a green bar under the health, that's my force, and below that is a small, like, gray blob that is filling. So that is Paint. Okay, I think that this is the one. So with the hardened half-made mold, oh, I don't actually have Paint to use another. Hold on, will I be able to get back up here? I think so. So the way that we get Paint, oh, I will not be able to get back up. I can just return to Surrogate, it's okay. The way that we get Paint is we have to hit enemies. And when you do that, each hit generates a little bit of paint. And it costs 1 bar of paint to use the creature mold. Okay. So this wall here, if we can get through, I might try increasing my FPS as well, because we've had some more success on higher FPS. But like I said, this tech is brand new, so we'll need some time to figure out all of the intricacies. There are also items that can give us paint and paint upgrades we can get throughout the run to make this a not single try kind of thing. But okay, let's try at slightly higher FPS. Okay, almost. So getting through this wall skips basically this entire zone. And it is probably the first use that we'll do of the of this particular type of wall clip. There's effectively anywhere that there is one of these shortcuts, we can get through it with one of these molds, but it's, like I said, a little bit inconsistent at times. Slightly more consistent with higher FPS, but not always. Depends a bit on where... Oh, say again?
Slightly consistent at higher FPS. We're pretty sure.
Yeah, we're pretty sure. But again, brand new tech. So I'm hoping I can get this. I hope I don't need to be at too high of an FPS because... unfortunately, because this game has so much going on, it can be hard to run and to stream at the same time at really high FPS values. I've set it to 120 for now, which is usually enough. I have gotten these wall clips at 60 FPS as well. But sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. Oh, I think that's it. Yes, so that's it.
Nice.
Let's go. And then, of course, we can just open the shortcut. So that right there is the fundamental tech that we're going to be using a whole lot of in the unrestricted run. So to be clear, there is going to be a category split for this game, one where we allow versus disallow that particular bit of tech, and probably some other things too. There are several other glitches that that we may end up using, but this is by far the most powerful, as you can imagine. Being able to clip through walls like this just opens up the game immensely. Okay, so I'm thinking for the next part, I would need to go grab Grasp Hook. Ow. I'm trying to get more paint because I think we should also have a wall. Actually, no, I think this just goes straight to Darsh, so that's okay. But yeah, you can see, if you remember from the Satiate run, it took us quite a while to go all the way around here. And this takes us basically to the second half of the zone directly, which helps immensely.
Yeah, and coupled with the fact that, like, you skip all of these upgrades, like, you skip basically any weapon upgrade that's remotely on your path, but not the parry bow, which you don't need to put any character investment or weapon investment into in order to have attunement explode things for you.
Yeah. Yeah, we do still get the parry bow, luckily, even with this route. Yeah, I don't have enough levels because I didn't get the armor to be able to deal damage with the bow, but it actually doesn't matter because we are still able to actually apply attunement even with 0 levels. So even though we're technically not able to use this bow, I will be able to stack attunement. And the parry damage will still be the same. So it actually doesn't require anything, even though the bow itself has stat requirements. That's only for the bow damage, not for the attunement. So you'll see I'm dealing 1 damage per swing, but the parries are still working and the attunement is still stacking.
Yeah, and this is already opening up considerations of, like, do you even grab things like embedding nails, or is it just faster to, like, Zerg rush absolutely everyone?
Yeah, so right now we're thinking that basically... Oh, that's not phase? Interesting. We're thinking that basically we have this fight, and then maybe we still need wall jump, which would require us actually fighting a couple more bosses. Not that many more bosses, because we can actually wall clip through Lower Concon and skip going to the Tankard Warden. But we do have to fight at least 2 or 3 more bosses to... Oh, that was a mistake. In order to actually get to wall jump. But yeah, we were testing to see if we could use these wall clips in order to skip wall jump. Oh, shoot. That was unfortunate. We only need about 2 parries to get past Darsh here, but unfortunately Darsh was not giving me the parries to work with. So you can see why the phase skip was so valuable in the first run that we did. But without the embedding nail, I don't quite have that ability. But yeah, we're really looking at cutting sort of all of the mid-game bosses out of the run and skipping almost directly to the final boss, which again will be ridiculously underpowered. For example, we might not have even enough levels to wield this bow effectively. Oops. All right, let's heal. Now, luckily on the second attempt, Darsh no longer has a huge wall blocking him. And we are able to continue attacking through that phase transition. Oh, no. All right, let's get past this guy, and then we can show the... early grasp slide, potentially. Although it might take a little bit of time to get to it. I guess, Quack, I want to check in for when... Yeah?
I'm looking at the full schedule. Question from the chat while we consult in the back end. Do you think, on the subject of things like the Darsh phase skip, do you think there will be bosses that it'll be quicker to engage, die, and then immediately second attempt? We've talked about a couple of bosses where it's like both Darsh and Mara where like things get appreciably easier on the second attempt. Do you think there's a universe where it's ever going to be worth to death cycle them, essentially?
That is a very good question. I would be a little bit surprised, but honestly, I don't know. So one thing that happens with bosses like Darsh and like Mara as well, okay, there we go. Is we... Thank you. We lose all of our attunement stacks when the phase transitions happen. So basically on first attempt for Darsh, if you sit through that phase transition, we can't hit him at all. So the timer on applying another debuff runs out. And that means that our damage drops considerably for the next attempt of for the second phase of the fight. Like basically we need to work from 0 again. But if you do it on a second attempt, then you can keep that attunement up, which means that the second phase of the fight basically doesn't exist. So I could actually see it being faster, especially with how quick the boss runbacks are, if the first phase is short enough basically to where you would rather just redo the first phase and not have to deal with the second phase versus doing the second phase. If that makes sense. All right, so there is another wall clip. Let me head down to here. And we will need Grasp Hook to get to this next one. But yeah, the power of these wall clips is so strong. So there are very, very many one-way walls like this. So for example, this one, it's possible that we can clip through that from below if we took a different path to get Grasp Hook. And it's actually one of the things that we're considering is not going through Darsh. Actually, one of the very, very funny problems that we might run into, Quack, is by skipping one of the bosses. Like I said earlier, the bosses give the damage upgrade or the combat upgrades. And one of the combat upgrades in question is called Dash Counter, which comes from the Great Blade Preacher, who also guards Wall Dash. If we don't get Grasp Counter, then it might actually be literally impossible to beat one of the late game bosses because they have a phase where you need to grasp counter them. Oh my god. So it is a very, very interesting moment for routing this game with these glitches because how much we can skip, with these wall clips, we can get past all sorts of things that, obviously the game never intended us to be able to skip. So we have to make very sure that we don't run into a hard lock like fighting a boss that is now impossible. And I think that's very funny. Okay, I do want to get a smidge of paint here. So there's a couple, there we go, nice. There's a couple of these types of skips where we can use some weapon attack air stalls in order to gain just slightly more height. In Grime 1, that was a lot more height, but in Grime 2, it's a little bit more constrained, but that is okay. And that smidge of paint, which actually I forgot to equip, but that's okay, basically gives us one extra use of our wall clip. So yes, this wall, oh no, I didn't know it was guarded by a drop pod. Let me through. Oh, I was through. Okay, hold on. I'll come back with a smidge of paint. These draw pots are just regular enemies, but they are actually impossible to kill. But this wall clip does similar to the first area, just skip through the entire top half of this area.
All right, we're not going to get got by pottery today. Also, I'm thinking, confirming, we're going to let this rock, so let's go get grasp slide early, and that will be our goal point, we think.
Okay, excellent. So in that case, I'll try to get this wall clip here, and then I will be heading back toward the first area. Let me through. Not quite. Okay. Let me show that off. So we'll go head back toward the first area and head on down to grasp slide. So we don't have wall jump yet, which means we will actually need to buy. Do I have money here? Oh, I do not. Okay, hold on. I need to go pick up one more thing. Did I get the warp? I did not. Okay, Quack. This might actually take longer.
Or we can go to take a bath. If we need to call it here, we need to call it here.
I think we might. I think.
All right.
I think I needed more setup than I did. I'm sorry. Okay,
all right,
but the beauty of this is there are so many places that we can use these wall clips, so many places that we can start to break the intended sequencing of the game with these glitches, and this kind of tech is just being explored. So it's such a fun moment for the Grime speedrunning community to be able to try to pick apart the game with the sudden lack of restriction of walls stop us, So, if you're interested in Grime II running, definitely hop in now and help us figure out everywhere that these wall clips can be useful.
Yes. And with that, we have our secret third thing. Math, I noticed as you've been running this, you've been nothing but covered in paint. I think it's time to take a bath. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, surprise Silksong meme. I'll see you there, gamers. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Make Your Own Victory, the GDQ Hotfix show that attempts to capture 100% of the joy of speedrunning in 0% of the completed video games. We gamed so hard tonight that we have unlocked the bonus secret Silksong meme. Here once again returning, this time to take a bath in Hollow Knight Silksong. It's Cthulhu.
Hello, everyone. Yes, we are changing up the pace a little bit, and I will get underway here. So we could go ahead and get started in 3, 2, 1, go, as I hit start here. But let me tell you a little bit about this meme speedrun. So you're all very familiar, of course, with the concept of making your own victory here, and I can think of no better category in Silksong with an absolutely ludicrous goal. So the point of this run is, of course, not to beat the game. It's not to do really any of the story. We just want to take a bath. So the way that this works is I need to get Hornet swimming in a little bit of muck water.
Oh my god.
You basically get in need of a bath, and then I need to go and sit in a hot spring to go and clean up taking a bath. So it's a truly ridiculous run. It is a run that really only goes through the first part of the game, but the fastest hot spring to go swim in is one that is provided by a particular flea named Krat. Now, we hate Krat, so of course the end of this run will not just be... Oh, I don't need the moss berries, actually. Don't worry about it. I've been running hundo, it's fine. So we don't actually, we don't want to to pay Krat anything. We don't want to make Krat happy in any way at all. So, of course, we will end the run by smacking Krat as well. So we'll take a bath and we'll smack Krat, and that will be the end of the run. This run is ridiculous. I was one of the people to run this initially. I did not come up with this category, but when I heard about it, I knew I had to run it, because basically what it does is it saves 5 fleas as quickly as possible. Then it makes... I don't know why I took this path either. It's fine. We're thriving. I was playing too much Grime. It's okay. We're doing well. So we're going to save 5 fleas, and then we're going to go get the movement abilities required to get ourselves into muck water, and then we are going to go take a bath. So I hope you're all excited. This is a truly ridiculous run that I promise you Quack had absolutely no idea what it entailed when she agreed to let me showcase this on her show.
Yes, so to be clear, we had a preparation in place in the event that Satiate% came way under, and I asked Matt, like, hey, do you have any other meme categories, you know, things that don't beat the game, that'd be good. And he said, I have Silksong Take a Bath, and I asked no further questions. And so I'm learning with all of you, Chad.
It is actually an incredible run. It does have a board, actually, which might surprise you. It sort of surprises me, but it does actually have a board on the category extensions page. I ran this like basically right after it was proposed for like a day, and it's beautiful, and I loved it, and I have not touched it since. So I'll be just grabbing some rosaries along the way. We'll be YOLOing the route a little bit. Luckily, it's pretty straightforward. I just need to save all of the fleas, which is very much my bread and butter. I run a lot of categories that do so-called flea route in the early game. If you're not too familiar with Silksong, the way that this game works, there are 3 main paths to get to the wall jump ability, which is kind of the critical, like, first junction in the game. There is the Drifter's Cloak path, there is the Flea path, and there is the Simple Key Wormways path. The 2 any percent runs, the 2 like different categories, are basically 2 out of 3 of those paths, and for some reason fleas are not among them. So this category takes that lovely mantle of having the flea route early game. But yeah, so we're doing a bit of movement here, which is basically constantly doing these diagonal pogos. So the Hunter Crest has a diagonal pogo, and it is our starting crest. Doing these pogos is faster than walking, significantly so. And there's a little bit of hidden tech in the pogos, so it's not as simple as just jump and pogo. I am actually also... okay, hold on. I should probably like think about how many rosaries I want. It's okay. We're just gonna go grab some. It'll be fine. We'll have enough. It'll be good. I think I do not need these, but it's fine. But yeah, so the diagonal pogo is quite a bit faster, but if I do it from too low to the ground, then there's actually a little stun animation that happens, and we are stopped from walking for a little bit. So I want to avoid that, and it turns out it is possible to avoid that if we let go of all directional input when we hit the ground. So those are called neutral pogos. I am trying to use them as much as possible. But yeah, they are only going to be part of our movement until we pick up the dash ability, which is the very first ability we're going to rush our way to. We did not get an extra Pashanka from Chakra, so this run is unfortunately cursed, but that is okay. But yeah, we're heading... Oh, go for it.
You can't be too mad about this run being cursed after Satiate came 52 minutes under.
Yeah, I brought this upon myself, I think.
Smile emoji. I also love it. I like how even though I still haven't finished Silksong, I could run this category and not spoil the ending. Genuinely, that's a major part of the make your own victory ethos. We never spoil the ending here. I don't know how any video game released after 2017 has ended.
Yeah, that is the beauty of meme categories. This category doesn't even spoil past, sort of, most people's probably like second or third day playthrough. So, it's very spoiler safe, of course. The Grime run was also, spoiler safe for people who haven't finished the game, but slightly more spoilers than we'll be getting in the Silksong run. Although this does take like half the time that any percent takes. It doesn't do half the things that any percent does, though.
To be fair, I have to imagine there's a couple more any percent runners like developing the category than there are take a bath runners.
You would think so, and you would be wrong. No,
okay.
No,
I was not familiar with your game.
Yeah, take a bath percent is it's actually funny. I think there have been people doing like ILs and like room sob for this category, so it's a little bit
for this
insane.
Oh no.
I am not kidding. I think that the optimizers for some reason really looked at take a bath percent and were like, yes, this is the most like prestigious category. I'm going to grind this. But I also think it's like sort of a meme in and of itself. Like they're grinding this category because it's, a funny thing to grind. But I don't know. Anyway, you'll have to ask them what's going on. I think the actual answer is it's a 20-minute long speedrun. So like people want to run it if they are early game lovers, and early game lovers tend to like to optimize.
That's fair. Or counterpoint, gamers recalled the stigma about gamers and were like, I'm going to get a good grade in taking a bath, something that is normal to want and possible to achieve.
It's so true. All right, I talked 0% about the Bell Beast phase skip there, but so I did actually skip the second half of that Bell Beast fight. I'm sorry that I didn't mention it. We did a little bit of precise damage counting with the Silk Spears. That is tech that you'll see in pretty much every Silksong run, except for ones that skip Bell Beast, which are pretty much just low percent. So shoutouts to low percent. It gets to skip Bell Beast, but then it has to do the entire game without dash. So, who is the real winner? But yeah, we are past Bell Beast, which is a blocker into the Marrow for us. So we are going to be heading into our next major area. I don't think I'm doing Hunter's March. No, I think I'm just doing regular Lee route any percent things. Okay, excellent. I know this category very, very well. Thank you for asking.
You take a bath and that's it. That's the category.
Exactly. But yeah, so we are heading pretty much directly to Dash. So there are a couple of fleas that are on the way. My goal, like I said earlier, is saving 5 fleas, which will get me into the area with wall jump. And that is important because I need wall jump to get into muck water. Oh, that was a bit of a mistake. That's okay. I need wall jump to get to where the muck water is in order to get mucked, in order to then, of course, take a bath. Also, something that maybe isn't obvious from my description of this category, going in the hot spring actually clears the mucked status. So, like, it does actually clean you, which is why this category exists. Well, I mean, it's one of the reasons why this category exists. So it's not like we're just getting mucked and then going into water and going, okay, now we're clean while remaining mucked. It is an actual mechanic in the video game.
I mean, honestly, it doesn't have to be. The category is important nonetheless.
That is true. Yeah, it's a pretty solid meme as far as the Silksong memes go. I think the meme runners have been hard at work coming up with some good memes in Silksong. I'm always partial to a woo percent, of course, the all fleas run, because I mean, fleas. I don't think I need to explain myself further than that. But there have been a number of really, really good ones. Oh, okay, there we go. I think you can tell the rooms that I go through in the runs I've been running lately versus the rooms that I go through in this run.
And just for
luckily, most of them are the same.
what would you say the difference is in terms of number of hours you've played Grime 2 versus number of hours you've played Hollow Knight Silksong?
You know, that's a great question, Quack, and I would say it's about a factor of 10. So I have played...
You've already put 100 hours into Grime 2?
I've put 75 hours into Grime 2 and like 850 into Silksong. So, you know, it's fine. It's completely fine. I'm normal about the game Silksong. It's a good game, though. There are some people that have so many more hours in Silksong, though, actually. People are very, very into the speedrun, as they should be. This is a fantastic game with a fantastic speedrun.
Fairly uncontroversial opinion. Hollow Knight Silksong, pretty good game.
I know, hot takes here on Make Your Own Victory tonight.
I'm here for the discourse.
All right, so this is Dash, and if you thought we were free of the pogos, we are not. There is new pogo dash movement, which is different from the neutral pogos, and luckily does not require me... Woo! Sorry, we have to woo with every flea, obviously. This does not require me to let go of directional inputs, which we did need to do for the neutral pogos, but yeah, I think we get the other flea in a minute. Okay, yeah, this is fine. But we basically just jump pogo and then dash immediately, which cancels the pogo and gives us a little bit of a speed boost. Oh, so there's new tech on Lace 1, which is a crazy thing to say, you know, 8 months after the game's release, but there is new tech on Lace 1. You can actually bait her to diving into the lava, but I haven't tried it. I haven't fought Lace 1 since it was discovered, so, you know, we were talking about all this new Grime 2 tech. There is also new Silksong tech still being discovered. Even this long after the game's release, and even this long with so many eyes on the speedrun. It is, of course, slightly less consequential than we can clip through every wall in the game and nobody noticed until now. But, you know, it is fun to see. The Silksong speedrunning scene is very much an evolving scene. There's actually another new skip in this room that I also don't know, where you can pogo that ant. You can bait them to jump and then pogo them to basically skip this room. It saves like 7 seconds or something like that.
The difference between new speedruns and like developed speedruns, because this is where I do feel obligated to quote one Cthulhu from the discovery of the Grime 2 wall clips. Where did it go? Good. Sorry, I'm sorry to talk over the woo. Chat will have me on this, though. Where I believe Cthulhu is quoted as saying, yeah, wow, this saves at least 30 to 40 minutes. But 7 seconds is cool, too.
Yeah, you know, slightly different scale of discovery happening. But, you know, speedrun scenes are constantly evolving, and it's never too late to get into them, is, you know, something like that. Some words.
Some words, yeah.
No, but I do very much love the Silksong run. I wasn't dashing coming into this room, so I'm just gonna take a really slow cycle on this. It is, again, like, quite funny. Like, obviously, a woo! Obviously, a woo.
Obviously.
I was just running Satiate % in Grime, and that is a brand new game where, you know, a minute here and there is just, you know, oh, that's fine. That's just the kind of time loss that happens. And here I'm sad about taking a cycle that's about 2 seconds slower than the cycle that I was going for. But, you know, that's the story of how these games get optimized. Silksong's an interesting case because this game obviously was optimized quite quickly after release. Oh no. Not in the sense, of course, that there was nothing left to find, but in the sense of just lots of work being put into, you know, finding out as much as possible. Oh,
yeah. I mean, the community's what, only 30,000 people strong or whatever?
Yeah, it is. It is massive. I think there are over, I want to say 1,400 runners, maybe? I don't know. There's a
Unbelievable.
ton of speedrunners of Silksong. Okay, we are going to heal. All right, we got one more flea to save, which is the flea over here in Hunter's March. And then we will be able to view the true best cutscene in the game. If I can get past our lovely friend the Scarguard, thank you. It is very much still possible to die here, and I would like not to. Just a personal preference, you know?
I would back that preference, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, we talked in Grime about how not getting hit is one of the best things you can do in a video game. Not dying, gotta be up there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And see, that's why I healed. Don't ask why I did that pogo, but you see why I healed. Oh, all right, so now we have saved all 5 fleas, which means we can take the flea caravan. Now, the reason that we take the flea caravan to get to Greymoor and then ultimately Cling Grip is largely because we want Krat's Spa to appear in Greymoor, which is quite close to Sinner's Road, which is where we're going to get mucked. So it is actually possible to get Krat's Spa to appear here, and you could get to Greymoor through other routes, but carrying the muck maggots all the way from Sinner's Road down to here is a fair bit slower than just going to Greymoor. Plus, we get to view this absolutely incredible cutscene, which, of course, as is well known, this cutscene, and please don't watch any singular run on any of the leaderboards for Silksong, this cutscene here is unskippable. There is absolutely no way, certainly not pressing any button twice, that this cutscene can be skipped. No, it is my favorite cutscene in the game.
Fact check says true. I don't know. Seems legit to me.
Alright, I'll grab the Flea Brew, not because it's necessarily faster here, but because I have a lot of strats that depend on Flea Brew that I use in longer categories where it is worth it. But yeah, the next thing we need to do, we have most of the pieces in place. We can go save Krat now and actually create the spa, and of course we could take a bath in that, but that's not quite good enough for us. We want to actually clean when we take the bath, so we do need to get mucked, and in order to do that, we need to get to Sinner's Road. And the primary way to get to Sinner's Road here is going to be grabbing Cling Grip. Now, that will be our wall jump ability, and it will give us access to everything that we need. Now, if you watch normal Silksong speedruns, you would see from Cling Grip, we would normally go and continue on to Widow, the boss of this area, and grab the needle in. We don't have any need to do that here. So I can just get Cling Grip and move on.
That's good, because if I saw a spider of that size in my bath, it would not be a pleasant experience.
Ooh, don't get stick bugged. Okay, we're fine. Yes, absolutely, Quack. I think a spider of that size, I don't care if it's in the bath or anywhere. I don't think
great.
I want...
Wouldn't be great outside of the bath, but like especially.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine that we need to open that, so we're just gonna go this way. But yeah, this is a fantastic category. Everyone should be running Take a Bath %. Clearly, it is the best use of your time in Silksong speedrunning, but also just in general. So, whatever you're doing, stop it and run Take a Bath, including if you're taking a bath.
Question from chat: is there an all hot springs cat or an all baths category? Matthew, you want to talk about Hollow Knight all hot springs?
I don't know how GDQ safe that particular topic is for me, Quack. So let's just leave it. There is an all hot springs category in Hollow Knight, which may have been pioneered by yours truly. And, you know, that's all we'll say on the matter. Okay, I was going to go for the flavor skip here, but on 2 HP, I'd prefer not to. Because sometimes you can get hit for, you guessed it, 2 health. All right, so this is Cling Grip, and from here, we are just leaving. And I don't actually know the fastest way. So unfortunately, we can't save and quit from Cling Grip here. This is a hard save, so I'd love to just save and quit and return back to that flea caravan. But I can't do that. I do actually have to leave. And I think the fastest way to do that is to drop here and see the most optimized category. Don't worry about it. And I think it's to come across this, maybe. Again, don't compare this run to any run on the leaderboards or anywhere. It is not meant for those purposes. Okay, this will get me where I want to go, though, and that's the important thing. All right, so we have all the movement we need. Now the last thing we have to do is save Krat so that the hot spring becomes available, and bench here doesn't work because I need to get buffed. Okay, and then go and get ourselves covered in muck maggots so we can then clean them off in a bath. Very normal thing to do. Very normal category. Again, astounding that this has a leaderboard. That's all I'm saying.
That's the beauty of category extensions, baby.
It is truly a thing of beauty. Okay, so we're working our way around here. I think I actually want to go this way, not through the arena. And of course, we will be smacking crap to truly end the run. One of my favorite things about this meme category is that it has a dedicated auto split. So this category was manually timed, as you might imagine. But there was enough demand that they actually added a Muck Maggots removed auto split to the auto splitter. Yeah, and it was even updated to not trigger that particular auto split on death, I believe, because that was a problem that some runners were having, where they would, you know, die in the final split and then have their final split go off. We do need to bench before Krat will set up the hot spring, so that's why I'm benching here. But yeah, now we're heading back up, and we are going to get a little bit dirty.
All right,
so I just need...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go for it.
I was gonna say, while we finish out this, it's been an absolute gauntlet of speedruns and showcases and memes beside. Math, where can the people find you on the internet, and what are you up to amidst all of this nonsense?
Absolutely. So you can find me over at twitch.tv/Mthulu, also on YouTube under the same handle. And I do this kind of nonsense all the time. I love these silly meme categories. I love new speedruns. Sorry, I realize I need to go up and around unless I want to do that arena. I love new speedruns. I love doing meme runs. I love just having fun with video games. So it's a pleasure to be here on Make Your Own Victory, so thank you so much for having me, Quack. I very much appreciate it. I am a little stressed about my health, but it's okay. One thing about having muck maggots is you cannot... heal. Okay, I need to go up and around. As you can see, this is a very practiced category for me. But yeah, I very much appreciate you having me on. I'm glad I was able to showcase Grime. I think it is a fantastic speed game, and I hope that this showcase, demonstrates to people just how you can get into your own speedruns of your own games, whatever you're finding interesting. Even if there is no massive speedrun scene, it can be a lot of fun to jump in and just do what you find fun. Like, for example, taking a bath. And that is time.
GG. Absolutely incredible command showcase of all kinds. Mav, any last words from you?
I think that is everything I wanted to say, so thanks again for having me on, Quack, and yeah, just a great time. Speedrun games you like, that's all.
Yes. Chat, please make a thunderous amount of noise one more time for the truly inimitable Cthulhu with Grime II and the Silksong tonight. We're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we are going into our community grab bag showcase, hosted by Church in Charge. These are runs that you, yes you, have submitted to Hotfix over the past couple of months that have not been featured on other shows. We're running this for the month of April after Make Your Own Victory. I am so excited to be able to feature some of your wonderful speedruns, and you can submit them to Hotfix yourself. Exclaim Hotfix in the chat. That is going to be it for us here at Make Your Own Victory. Speedrunning is a beach day. Thank you so much for playing with me in the sand, y'all. Good night.